Before you dismiss this as just another date on the calendar, pay close attention, because Friday, May 29th, carries an energy unlike anything else unfolding this year. What stands before us is not simply another astrological event. It is the opening of what many astrologers are describing as the most fortunate energetic gateway of the entire year. And the reason this matters is simple. Opportunities of extraordinary magnitude often arrive quietly at first. They do not always announce themselves. They appear as subtle shifts, unexpected openings, sudden breakthroughs, and those who fail to recognize the moment often realize much later that they were standing directly in front of a life-changing doorway without ever stepping through it. As you watch this on Thursday, May 28th, you are standing at the edge of that doorway. Everything that has unfolded throughout the month of May has been guiding you toward this exact threshold. The celestial architecture building behind the scenes has been assembling piece by piece, creating a rare alignment that is now preparing to unlock a powerful, energetic portal. According to many astrologers, 3 zodiac signs are positioned to benefit more dramatically than anyone else, standing on the verge of what could only be described as a cosmic jackpot. This is not simply excitement for the sake of excitement. This is not merely another lunar event passing through the sky. What makes today so significant is that it represents the final stage before the moon enters, Sagittarius preparing the way for a rare blue moon, the second full moon, occurring within a single month, which reaches culmination on May 31st. As this process unfolds, Jupiter, the planet traditionally associated with abundance, expansion, blessings, and good fortune, will be expressing its energy at an exceptionally amplified level. Yet there is something even more important that few people seem to be discussing. If you have felt unusual pressure building over recent weeks, if you have sensed an invisible weight tightening around your circumstances, your emotions, your finances, or your relationships, there is a reason for it. That pressure is not random. Later, the deeper purpose behind it becomes clear. For now, understand that what is happening today represents the culmination of an entire month of preparation. Every emotional release, every financial challenge, every uncomfortable conversation, every moment of uncertainty has been leading toward this point. What felt like obstacles may actually have been training. What felt like setbacks may have been positioning. And if you happen to belong to one of the 3 signs most strongly activated by this gateway, the reality you are currently living inside may look very different in the days ahead. Looking back honestly, May of 2026 has demanded more from people than most expected. The month began with a deeply intense Scorpio full moon on May 1st, bringing hidden emotions to the surface and forcing confrontations with fears, insecurities, and psychological patterns that many would have preferred to avoid. It was not comfortable energy. It was revealing energy. Then on May 6th, Pluto, the planetary force associated with death, rebirth, transformation, and profound inner evolution, stationed retrograde in Aquarius. The collective atmosphere shifted almost immediately. Progress seemed to slow, momentum weakened. Plans that appeared ready to move forward suddenly stalled. Many people experienced frustration as projects delayed, relationships felt strained, and financial circumstances became increasingly complex. It was as though an invisible hand had pressed pause on forward motion. Then came another layer of pressure. On May 26th, Mars in Taurus formed a square to Pluto, creating one of the most intense and demanding aspects of the year. For many people, this felt like living inside a pressure chamber. Every unresolved issue seemed magnified. Every frustration demanded attention. Every weakness in existing structures became impossible to ignore. Yet this was never punishment. It was preparation. Imagine a slingshot being drawn backward. The farther it is pulled, the greater the tension becomes. The greater the tension becomes, the more uncomfortable the experience feels. But the purpose of that discomfort is not to keep the stone trapped. The purpose is to generate the force necessary for a powerful launch forward. That is exactly what the astrology of May has been doing. Then yesterday, on May 28th, Venus formed a square to Saturn. For many, that aspect arrived as a final examination. Some experienced limitations involving money. Others encountered emotional distance, relationship boundaries, or moments of self-doubt. Many questioned whether their efforts were producing any meaningful results at all. Yet beneath those experiences was a deeper question being asked by the universe itself. What are you still carrying that no longer belongs in your future? What fear are you still protecting? What attachment are you still refusing to release? Because Friday, May 29th, marks the moment when that accumulated tension begins to release. This is why the day functions as such, a powerful portal. Real portals are not simply days when people feel optimistic. A true portal is a threshold between one reality and another. It is a moment when the distance between limitation and possibility becomes remarkably thin. It is a point where breakthroughs stop being theoretical and begin becoming inevitable for those who are prepared. Throughout this entire Friday, the moon travels through the final and most intense degrees of Scorpio. Astrologers refer to the 29th degree of any sign as the anaretic degree, often called the degree of fate. It carries urgency. It carries culmination. It carries the feeling that unfinished lessons are demanding completion before the next chapter begins. As the moon moves through these final Scorpio degrees, everything associated with Scorpio becomes intensified. Deep emotions, psychological processing, fear, control, transformation, hidden truths, all of it reaches maximum volume. Many people may feel a strange electricity moving beneath the surface throughout the day, a sensation that something is ending while something else waits just beyond the horizon. The difference now is that you are no longer trapped inside Scorpio's lessons. You are approaching the exit. You are standing at the edge of transition itself. And this is where the story takes a fascinating turn, because late Friday night, the moon finally leaves Scorpio behind and crosses into Sagittarius. What most people fail to realize is that the actual transformation does not begin at the exact moment marked on a clock. Technically, the moon enters Sagittarius early Saturday morning at 8:45. Yet anyone sensitive to energy knows that shifts of this magnitude announce themselves before they fully arrive. The doorway begins opening on Friday. You feel it before you can explain it. You sense it before you can prove it. It is the strange feeling that something which has been weighing on your spirit is finally loosening its grip. It is the moment your chest feels lighter after carrying emotional weight for far too long. Imagine emerging from a long passageway underground after walking through darkness for what feels like forever. Then suddenly, without warning, you step into brilliant sunlight. Your eyes adjust slowly. The world looks different. Nothing outside may have changed yet, but everything inside you has. That is the energetic transition unfolding as the moon leaves Scorpio and moves towards Sagittarius. It is a movement away from fear and toward faith, away from trying to control every possible outcome and toward trusting a larger unfolding process, away from scarcity thinking and into the territory of expansion. The shift is especially dramatic because it represents a journey from the deepest and most emotionally intense water sign into one of the most optimistic and forward-looking fire signs in the Zodiac. This is precisely why many astrologers are referring to this moment as the Sagittarius Moon portal. The significance is not simply that the moon changes signs. The real power comes from the surge of liberating energy that arrives the instant that boundary is crossed. What follows is not a subtle adjustment. It feels more like a floodgate opening after weeks of pressure have been building behind it. Yet the story does not end there. The portal begins on May 29th, but its full expression arrives on May 31st at 4:44 at night, when the full moon in Sagittarius reaches its peak at 9 degrees and 55 minutes. This lunar event carries extraordinary significance because it is not an ordinary full moon. It is a blue moon, the second full moon occurring within the same calendar month. The first full moon arrived on May 1st in Scorpio and introduced themes of emotional intensity, shadow work, endings, and deep psychological transformation. Now, as the month closes, another full moon emerges on the opposite side of the experience. Together, these two lunar events create what astrologers often describe as an energetic container, a highly charged field of pressure designed to accelerate growth, breakthroughs, and life-altering realizations. Think of it as spending an entire month inside a cosmic chamber where every challenge, every emotional confrontation, and every moment of uncertainty has been building toward a final release point. Blue moons themselves are uncommon. They generally occur only once every 2 to 3 years. Their rarity alone attracts attention. But when a blue moon takes place in Sagittarius, the symbolism becomes even more powerful. Sagittarius governs expansion, higher wisdom, possibility, adventure, faith, and the willingness to see beyond present limitations. As a result, this blue moon represents a rare opening for dramatic changes, not only in consciousness, but also in external circumstances. It is the type of energy that encourages people to dream bigger, move further, and finally act on visions that once seemed impossible. Yet there is one reason this particular blue moon stands apart from every other major lunar event of the year. That reason is Jupiter. Every Sagittarius full moon answers to Jupiter, because Jupiter is Sagittarius's ruling planet. The condition of Jupiter determines how the energy of the full moon expresses itself. If Jupiter were weakened, challenged, or operating from a difficult position, the result might be inspiration without manifestation, enthusiasm without resources, or vision without practical support. But that is not the case in May of 2026. Jupiter is operating from one of the strongest positions available in traditional astrology. Jupiter is moving through Cancer, the sign of its exaltation. Exaltation is considered a highly favorable condition where a planet can express its most constructive and beneficial qualities with exceptional strength. In this state, Jupiter's gifts become amplified. Its capacity for abundance, growth, protection, opportunity, and blessing reaches extraordinary levels. What makes this even more significant is the fact that Jupiter only moves through Cancer once every 12 years. This is not common energy. It is cyclical, rare, and deeply meaningful. Unlike temporary strokes of luck that arrive quickly and disappear just as fast, Jupiter in Cancer tends to create blessings with roots. It supports emotional security. It strengthens foundations. It promotes healing within families and personal relationships. It often brings opportunities through genuine care, emotional intelligence, nurturing environments, and authentic human connection. The rewards associated with this placement are not merely financial. They create stability. They create belonging. They create something that can endure. Therefore, when the Sagittarius blue moon reaches fullness on May 31st, it is being governed by a Jupiter operating from an exceptionally empowered position. This combination is what elevates the entire portal from fortunate to extraordinary. The planet associated with luck, growth, and expansion is functioning at maximum strength, offering support, protection, and opportunity simultaneously. That is why many astrologers view this as one of the most powerful prosperity windows of the year. However, while every sign may experience some benefit from this energy, not everyone receives it in the same way. Some individuals will notice subtle improvements. Others may undergo profound spiritual revelations. Yet for 3 signs in particular, Sagittarius, Cancer, and Taurus, the astrological architecture surrounding this portal is remarkably supportive. Through a combination of planetary placements, house activations, and beneficial alignments, these signs are positioned to receive the strongest impact from this energetic opening. Beginning with Sagittarius, the story becomes especially compelling. If you are a Sagittarius sun, moon, or rising, this moment carries personal significance unlike any other. The blue moon on May 31st takes place directly in your sign, illuminating your first house, the area associated with identity, self-expression, physical presence, autonomy, and personal direction. A full moon in the first house often marks a moment of recognition. It is a culmination point where the universe shines a spotlight on who you are becoming. It is a moment that invites you to stop hiding, stop apologizing, and fully occupy your own life. Yet this particular full moon is different because it completes a journey that began earlier in the month. The first full moon on May 1st occurred in Scorpio, activating your 12th house, the realm associated with hidden fears, subconscious patterns, karmic endings, isolation, and unseen influences. Throughout the entire month, many Sagittarius individuals have been navigating deep internal territory. Old anxieties may have resurfaced. Memories long buried may have returned. You may have felt disconnected from others, uncertain about your path, or challenged by emotional material emerging from beneath the surface. What once seemed resolved may have demanded one final examination before release. Perhaps over the past several weeks you found yourself standing at a crossroads internally, questioning decisions you once felt certain about, wondering whether the direction you were pursuing still reflected who you were becoming. Perhaps there were moments when uncertainty seemed louder than confidence, when old fears resurfaced unexpectedly, or when it felt as though invisible layers of your past were rising to the surface, demanding your attention. If that happened, it was not a mistake. It was not a detour. It was part of a necessary clearing process. The Scorpio energy that dominated much of this month was stripping away what could no longer accompany you into the next chapter of your life. It was removing outdated fears, expired beliefs, emotional baggage, and attachments to identities that had already served their purpose. Now, as May 29th arrives, the atmosphere begins to change. The threshold that has been forming throughout the month finally stands before you. The moment the moon enters Sagittarius, something shifts. The heavy introspection begins to loosen its grip. The energy that once pulled you inward starts pushing you outward. It feels as though a curtain has been lifted, and suddenly you can see a wider horizon than before. If you are a Sagittarius sun, moon, or rising, this transition is especially powerful because the spotlight is moving directly onto you. Where there was uncertainty, clarity emerges. Where there were delays, movement begins. Where there was hesitation, confidence starts returning. People notice you differently. Your presence carries more weight. Your natural charisma becomes more visible. Circumstances that appeared frozen may suddenly gain momentum. Yet the most significant piece of this story lies elsewhere. Your ruling planet, Jupiter, is currently exalted in Cancer and activating your 8th house. In astrology, the 8th house governs shared resources, investments, financial partnerships, inheritances, other people's money, and profound emotional bonds. When Jupiter occupies this area in its exalted condition, it creates extraordinary potential for financial expansion through collaborative channels. The opportunities that emerge may arrive through partnerships rather than individual effort alone. Some Sagittarius individuals could see a major business loan approved after a period of waiting. Others may experience an investment producing returns beyond expectations. For some, a highly profitable agreement may appear at exactly the right time. Others may encounter benefits connected to inheritance or resources originating from outside their own earnings. The common thread is that support arrives through connection, through alliance, through shared opportunity. This is why the portal opening on May 29th acts as a powerful signal for Sagittarius. It represents permission to move forward. The blessings available now are directly connected to your willingness to trust your vision, embrace possibility, and act with the bold optimism that defines your sign. The greater your willingness to believe in expansion, the more room expansion has to find you. Meanwhile, Cancer has been experiencing an entirely different story unfolding beneath the surface. Throughout this month, while much of the collective was navigating the emotional turbulence of Scorpio energy, Cancer has quietly been receiving one of the most favorable planetary configurations available in astrology. Jupiter has been traveling through your first house. This alone is a remarkable event, because Jupiter only returns to Cancer once every 12 years. When it does, it tends to function like an enormous protective force surrounding your life. It magnifies your personal presence. It strengthens your confidence. It expands your visibility. Most importantly, it increases your ability to attract fortunate circumstances seemingly without effort. During this transit, people naturally gravitate toward you. Invitations appear. Opportunities emerge. Situations that once required struggle begin unfolding with greater ease. Yet the story becomes even more extraordinary. On May 18th, Venus entered Cancer as well. Venus, the planet associated with love, beauty, luxury, attraction, harmony, and financial magnetism, joined Jupiter in your first house. As of May 28th, both of these benefic planets are occupying the same area of your chart simultaneously. This is exceptionally rare and exceptionally supportive. The energy surrounding you becomes naturally magnetic. Instead of forcing outcomes, you begin attracting them. Instead of chasing opportunities, opportunities seem to find their way toward you. The blue moon in Sagittarius on May 31st activates your sixth house, governing daily routines, work environments, physical well-being, and habits. At first glance, that may seem less dramatic than some of the other placements, but its implications are surprisingly powerful. The expansive lunar energy encourages improvements in the systems that shape your everyday life. Health breakthroughs become possible. Work environments become healthier and more supportive. Long-standing frustrations connected to routines begin finding solutions. Activities that once felt burdensome can become sources of satisfaction and progress. Yet the most important story remains the one unfolding in your first house. Jupiter and Venus together create an unusually attractive field around your energy. New romantic possibilities may emerge unexpectedly. Professional opportunities may arrive without being actively pursued. Financial benefits can appear through channels you never anticipated. For Cancer, the portal of May 29th is not merely about external luck. It is about self-recognition. It is the moment when you begin seeing your own value with unprecedented clarity. The instant that realization occurs, the world begins reflecting it back to you. Then we arrive at Taurus, whose experience throughout May has been building toward a different kind of reward. From the beginning, this month has carried special significance for Taurus. The new moon in Taurus on May 16th acted like a personal reset point, initiating a fresh cycle involving identity, vitality, direction, and self-development. Yet the most important developments for Taurus extend beyond personal reinvention. They connect directly to material progress and tangible results. A major shift occurred on May 18th, when Mars left Aries and entered Taurus. Prior to that transition, Mars had been operating through your 12th house, often associated with hidden activity, isolation, unseen effort, and energy expenditure behind the scenes. Many Taurus individuals may have felt drained, overlooked, or forced to work without receiving recognition. Progress may have seemed slower than expected. Motivation may have felt inconsistent. However, once Mars entered Taurus, the atmosphere changed dramatically. Energy returned. determination strengthened, ambition reignited. The feeling of pushing against resistance began giving way to forward movement. Simultaneously, both Mercury and the Sun moved into Gemini, activating your second house of earned income, personal resources, and self-worth. This area of the chart is deeply connected to finances and the ability to generate value. Adding even more significance to this picture is the presence of Uranus already moving through that same house. Uranus introduces innovation, unexpected opportunities, and sudden flashes of insight. It can generate unconventional solutions and entirely new approaches to financial growth. As a result, by the time the May 29th portal opens and the Sagittarius blue moon reaches culmination on May 31st, Taurus is already positioned for action. Momentum has returned. Confidence has strengthened. Financial awareness has sharpened. Practical foundations are being organized and reinforced, creating the conditions necessary for the next stage of growth to unfold. Everything that has been unfolding for Taurus throughout this month has been preparing the ground for what comes next. Nothing has been accidental. Every adjustment, every challenge, every decision involving your resources, your confidence, and your sense of personal value has been contributing to a larger structure that is now ready to support something bigger. By this point, your relationship with your own worth has become stronger. You have a clearer understanding of what you bring to the table, what you deserve, and what you are no longer willing to settle for. That stability becomes critically important because, as the Sagittarius blue moon reaches its peak, it activates your 8th house, one of the most powerful financial sectors in astrology. This is the domain connected to shared assets, investments, loans, inheritances, passive income, financial partnerships, and resources that originate beyond your direct earnings. It is where money moves through collaboration rather than individual effort alone. What makes this activation especially significant is the condition of Jupiter, the ruler of the Sagittarius Moon. Jupiter is currently exalted and operating through your 3rd house of communication, commerce, agreements, networking, and exchange. This combination creates fertile conditions for prosperity, arriving through conversations, negotiations, contracts, strategic alliances, and business arrangements. For some Taurus individuals, a discussion that seemed ordinary may evolve into something remarkably profitable. Others may find themselves entering partnerships that unlock entirely new streams of income. Important agreements may be finalized. Long-awaited negotiations may suddenly move in your favor. Opportunities connected to communication, marketing, sales, education, or commerce may reveal themselves in ways that appear almost perfectly timed. For Taurus, the portal opening on May 29th carries the feeling of a reward finally arriving after sustained effort. The work has already been done. The groundwork has already been laid. The foundation has already been strengthened. Now comes the moment when those efforts begin producing visible returns. It is as though a payment long delayed is finally released. The energy shifts from preparation to reception, from construction to manifestation. And this brings us back to the question that has been quietly following this entire story. Why has the pressure felt so intense? Why have so many people spent recent weeks feeling squeezed, tested, challenged, or stretched beyond their comfort zones? Earlier, I mentioned that there was a specific reason behind that sensation, and now the answer becomes clear. The pressure was never designed to break you. It was designed to strengthen you. The universe does not place major opportunities into the hands of those who are unprepared to carry them. It develops capacity first. It builds resilience first. It expands your foundation before it expands your blessings. Looking back over the month, the pattern becomes obvious. The Scorpio full moon on May 1st forced emotional cleansing. Hidden fears surfaced. Emotional baggage demanded release. Old wounds and unresolved feelings emerged so they could finally be addressed. Then Pluto stationed retrograde in Aquarius on May 6th, exposing outdated structures, limiting beliefs, and systems that could no longer support future growth. After that came the Mars-Pluto square on May 26th, a powerful turning point that confronted people with a choice. Remain attached to familiar limitations or embrace transformation. Remain stagnant or evolve. Then yesterday, on May 28th, Venus squared Saturn, creating one final examination of faith, commitment, and patience. Many people questioned whether the effort had been worth it. Many wondered whether progress was truly happening at all. Yet every one of these events was part of the same process. Together they formed a sequence of preparation. Together they built the strength necessary for what follows. And now, on May 29th, the tension that has been building finally finds release. The slingshot that has been pulled backward for weeks is no longer being stretched. It is being launched forward. This is why today is not a day for passivity. The portal responds to participation. It responds to intention. It responds to movement. One of the most important things you can do during this energy is become absolutely clear about your vision. Sagittarius energy does not respond strongly to small expectations or cautious dreams. It resonates with expansion. It responds to possibility. It amplifies bold aspirations and encourages people to imagine futures larger than their current circumstances. Before the day ends, allow yourself to acknowledge the goal you have been reluctant to voice, the dream you have been protecting because its size feels intimidating, the vision that excites you and scares you at the same time. Give it form. Give it language. Allow it to exist outside your imagination. Equally important is the willingness to release control. Throughout the Scorpio cycle, many people attempted to manage every variable, predict every outcome, and protect themselves from uncertainty. Yet expansion requires trust. If fear, anxiety, or excessive control are still occupying space within you, they may interfere with the flow of opportunity now attempting to enter. As the moon prepares to leave Scorpio behind, allow those patterns to leave with it. Let the need to micromanage dissolve. Let the fear of uncertainty soften. Another critical element of this portal is action. Opportunities often require participation. If there is a conversation you have been postponing, a choice you have been avoiding, or a risk you know must eventually be taken, this energy favors movement rather than hesitation. The symbolism of the portal is not passive waiting. It is conscious engagement. It is responding when opportunity appears. It is saying yes when intuition points you toward growth. Speaking of intuition, Jupiter exalted in Cancer adds another remarkable layer to this period. Emotional intelligence becomes heightened. Inner knowing becomes clearer. Signals that might normally be overlooked become easier to recognize. If something genuinely resonates, pay attention. If something feels misaligned, pay attention to that as well. This is not the moment to constantly question your instincts. It is the moment to listen carefully to them. Yet perhaps the most fascinating aspect of this entire portal is the unpredictable way luck often arrives. Rarely does it enter through the door people expect. It may appear through a message you almost ignored, a chance encounter, an unexpected introduction, an email sitting unnoticed in your inbox, a conversation that seems insignificant until it changes everything. Synchronicities become especially important now because opportunities often disguise themselves as ordinary moments before revealing their true significance. And while the portal officially opens on May 29th and reaches culmination with the Sagittarius blue moon on May 31st, the story does not end there. The influence of this alignment extends far beyond those dates. The effects continue unfolding across the weeks and months that follow. For some people, the results will appear immediately. A financial breakthrough, a professional opportunity, a romantic development, a tangible shift in circumstances. For others, the transformation may begin internally through a change in perspective, an increase in confidence, or the opening of a pathway that gradually expands over time. Regardless of how it arrives, movement is occurring. The trajectory is changing. The energy is shifting. The force that has been building all month is finally moving forward. For Sagittarius, Cancer, and Taurus, the astrological conditions surrounding this moment are exceptionally supportive. The planetary placements, the house activations, and the timing combine in a way that creates extraordinary potential. Yet the larger truth applies to everyone. This portal offers opportunity to the entire zodiac. Some may experience it more dramatically than others, but no one is entirely excluded from its influence. The real question is not whether the universe is opening a door. The real question is whether you are willing to walk through it. Because as May 29th unfolds, the moon leaves Scorpio and enters Sagittarius. The weight begins to lift. Expansion begins replacing contraction. Possibility begins replacing limitation. And one of the most fortunate, energetic windows of 2026 officially comes alive. If you have felt the pressure building, if you have sensed change approaching, now you know why. The release has begun, and the next chapter is ready to unfold.